I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from. Stop wasting my money on this garbage, Mother. Those were the words my daughter Jennifer screamed at me in front of Boston's elite. She grabbed the birthday gift I'd brought for my grandson, a $50 treasury bond, and threw it into an ice bucket like it was trash. Right there in the middle of the Emerald, the most expensive restaurant in the city. She had no idea that the garbage she just threw away was worth more than everything on that table. And she definitely had no idea that the money she claimed I was wasting, it was never hers. It was mine. All of it. My name is Ashley Morgan. I'm 72 years old. And this is the story of how I taught my UN the crystal chandeliers of the Emerald cast golden light across white tablecloths and champagne flutes. This wasn't just any restaurant. This was where Boston's wealthiest came to see and be seen. Where a glass of water cost more than a decent lunch anywhere else in the city. I sat at the far corner of the long table trying to make myself small. Invisible, really. My suit was old, bought at Macy's clearance rack 3 years ago. The fabric had worn thin at the elbows. Nothing like the Italian silk Jennifer wore. Nothing like the designer dress her husband John had on under his custom blazer. They sat at the head of the table. Jennifer's laugh rang out across the dining room as she clinked glasses with a hedge fund manager. John poured champagne like it was tap water, each bottle probably costing more than I spent on groceries in a month. We were here for my grandson Sammy's 10th birthday, but looking around the table, I saw maybe 2 people who actually cared about the boy. The rest were Jennifer's business associates, John's investor friends, people who measured their worth by the size of their bank accounts. Grandma Ashley. I felt a small hand tug on my sleeve. Sammy's big brown eyes looked up at me bright with anticipation. "Did you bring it?" he whispered. I smiled, the kind of smile that came from somewhere deep inside past all the hurt and humiliation of the last 5 years. I reached into the inner pocket of my jacket, my hand trembling slightly. Not from age, I was 72, but still steady, but from a mix of hope and dread. I pulled out a small beige envelope. It wasn't much to look at. The paper was simple, the seal unassuming. Inside was a $50 treasury bond. I'd bought it the day Sammy was born 10 years ago. It was a tradition my mother had started with me, one my late husband Thomas and I had continued. It wasn't about the money, it was about patience, about watching something grow slowly over time like a tree or a child, about teaching the value of delayed gratification in a world that demanded everything, now, now, now. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," I said softly, holding out the envelope. Sammy reached for it, a genuine smile spreading across his face. "Is it the bond like you told me about?" "It is. This one's been growing for 10 whole years just for you." But before his fingers could touch the paper, a hand shot out and snatched it away. Jennifer. She held the envelope up between 2 perfectly manicured fingers like it was a dirty tissue. Her diamond bracelet, the one I didn't even know she owned, caught the light as she ripped open the seal. She pulled out the bond, read it, and then she laughed. Not a small laugh, not a polite chuckle, a loud, cruel bark of laughter that made everyone at the table stop their conversations and turn to look. $50, Jennifer announced, her voice carrying across the restaurant. "Mother, are you serious, $50? The color rose in my cheeks. I kept my voice low, trying to salvage what little dignity I had left. "Jennifer, it's a treasury bond. It matures over time. It teaches him about saving, about what being cheap." She crumpled the bond in her fist. The sound of the paper crushing made me flinch. "Look around you, Mother. We're at the Emerald. Do you know what this dinner costs? $10,000. That's value. You giving my son this scrap of paper, that's not a gift. That's an insult." I glanced at Sammy. His face had gone red. He was staring down at his untouched birthday cake, blinking rapidly. "It's the thought that counts," I said quietly. "It's tradition. Your grandmother gave me my first bond when you were living in the 1950s. Jennifer's eyes glittered with something cold and hard. "This isn't 1950, Mother. This is the real world, the modern world, where $50 won't even cover the parking fee." She threw the crumpled bond into the silver ice bucket where the champagne was chilling. It landed with a soft splash, sinking between bottles that cost more than my monthly rent. "Stop wasting my money on this garbage," she hissed. The words hit me like a slap. My money, as if every dollar in her account, every asset in her name had come from her own sweat and blood. John's mother, sitting 2 seats down, leaned over to the woman beside her. She didn't bother lowering her voice. "You have to forgive Ashley. She's getting senile. We let her live with us out of charity, but she just doesn't understand how things work anymore. She's such a drain." A few people chuckled. That polite, uncomfortable sound people make when they witness cruelty but don't want to get involved. They looked at me with pity, the poor old woman, living off her successful daughter's generosity, a burden, a relic. I looked at Jennifer, really looked at her. This was the little girl I'd rocked to sleep when she had nightmares, the teenager I'd taught to drive, the young woman I'd handed my company to 5 years ago, trusting her with everything I'd built. And now she was looking at me like I was nothing, like I was trash. I slowly pushed my chair back. The legs scraped against the marble floor, harsh and loud in the sudden quiet. "Where are you going?" Jennifer asked, annoyance sharp in her voice. "We haven't cut the cake yet. Don't make a scene, Mother." "I'm going home," I said quietly. "I'm tired." "Suit yourself." She waved her hand dismissively, already turning back to her hedge fund friend. "Just don't expect the driver to take you. He's busy. You can take the bus. It's cheaper, more your style." I walked out of that dining room with my back straight and my head high. I could feel their eyes on me, could hear the whispers starting up again as soon as I passed. I walked past the maitre d' who looked at my worn shoes with barely concealed disdain, past the valet who didn't even glance my way. I walked out into the cool Boston night, the October air biting through my thin jacket. But I didn't go to the bus stop. I walked to the parking lot to the far corner where my old Honda sat hidden among the Mercedes and Teslas. Hidden so it wouldn't lower the property value, Jennifer had once said. She'd been joking, sort of. I'd just unlocked the door when I heard footsteps behind me. For one foolish, hopeful second, I thought maybe it was Jennifer. Maybe she'd realized she'd gone too far. Maybe the daughter I'd raised was still in there somewhere beneath the designer clothes and the cruelty. But it was just a busboy taking out the trash. "You okay, ma'am?" he asked. Young kid, maybe 20, kind eyes. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Thank you for asking." He nodded and headed back inside. I got in my car, my hands shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just sat there in the dark parking lot, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses drifting out from the restaurant. The sound of my daughter's world. A world where I no longer had a place. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Patricia Woods, my physician and one of my oldest friends. How did it go? I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back, "It's time. Call Sullivan. Tell him to execute the doomsday clause." I started the engine and pulled out of the lot. In my rearview mirror, the emerald glowed like a jewel, but I knew something Jennifer didn't. That jewel was about to shatter. The drive to the Brookline estate took 20 minutes. 20 minutes of Boston traffic streetlights and the distant sound of sirens. 20 minutes to think about what I was about to do. My chest felt tight. I gripped the steering wheel, focusing on the road, on breathing on, not letting the panic take over. This wasn't just anger. This was grief. I was about to lose my daughter. Maybe I'd already lost her years ago and just hadn't wanted to see it. But tonight the denial died. The estate came into view. 12-foot iron gates, manicured lawns, a sprawling mansion that looked like something out of Architectural Digest. Jennifer and John lived in the main house, 10 bedrooms, heated floors, a kitchen bigger than most apartments. I lived in the converted servants' quarters in the basement, near the boiler room where the pipes clanged and hissed all night. "It'll be easier for you, Mom," Jennifer had said 5 years ago when I'd signed over the CEO position. No stairs to climb, everything on one level. But I knew the truth. They wanted me close enough to babysit Sammy when it was convenient, far enough away that they didn't have to see me. I parked in the garage and made my way to my room. The basement door stuck, it always did, and I had to shoulder it open. The smell hit me first. Damp concrete, mildew, the metallic tang of old pipes. My room was small, 10 by 12 maybe. A single bed with a thin mattress, a dresser with a broken drawer, a small desk where I kept my laptop and a few books. One window high up on the wall barred with iron. The furniture was all cast-offs from when Jennifer and John had redecorated the main house. Nothing matched. The chair wobbled, the lamp flickered. I sat on the edge of the bed and closed my eyes. 5 years I'd lived like this. 5 years of being invisible, of being tolerated, of watching my daughter turn into someone I didn't recognize. But tonight that ended. I reached down and took off my left shoe. I pulled out the insole, revealing a small black micro SD card taped to the heel. This was my insurance, the lever I'd prayed I'd never have to pull. When I'd handed Morgan Logistics over to Jennifer, my lawyer Robert Sullivan had drafted a very specific trust agreement, a revocable living trust. Jennifer thought she owned the company shares, the house, the cars, the accounts, but she didn't. She was the beneficiary. I was the grantor, and I'd retained the power to revoke everything at any time for any reason. We called it the Doomsday Clause. I walked to the desk and pulled out my laptop, the one Jennifer thought was broken. It wasn't. It was a satellite-linked secure terminal that bypassed the house network entirely. I inserted the SD card. The screen glowed blue. I typed in a sequence of numbers passwords I'd memorized years ago. Then I reached into the hollowed-out book on my shelf, a copy of Pride and Prejudice, and pulled out a burner phone. I dialed a number I hadn't called in 5 years. It rang once. Yes. Robert Sullivan's gravelly voice answered. He was awake. I knew he would be. Sullivan never slept much. It's Ashley. A pause. Then, is it time? It's time, Robert. Jennifer crossed the line tonight. She humiliated me. She hurt Sammy. And she told me to stop wasting her money. I heard the click of a lighter on the other end, the exhale of cigar smoke, Sullivan's thinking sound. What are your instructions, Ashley? I stared at the framed photo on my desk. Thomas and me on our wedding day 50 years ago. He'd died 10 years back, but I still talked to him sometimes, usually late at night when the loneliness got too heavy. I'm sorry, Tom, I thought. I tried. I really tried. Execute the Doomsday Clause, I said, my voice steady. I want it all gone, Sullivan. Freezing the assets isn't enough. I want total recall. Understood. And the liquidity, move it. Empty the operating accounts. Empty the personal checking and savings. Transfer the $12 million in liquid cash to the offshore holding in the Cayman Islands. Leave her with nothing but the change in her pockets. And the house? The house belongs to the trust. Eviction notice. Immediately. Very well. Sullivan's voice softened slightly. Ashley, are you sure once we do this? I'm sure. I cut him off. She made her choice, Robert. Now I'm making mine. What about you? Where will you be? I'm leaving. Taking the bond and disappearing for a while. Just make sure the accounts are dry by morning. Consider it done, old friend. I hung up, closed the laptop, sat in the dark for a long moment. I didn't pack clothes, didn't pack photos. I left everything that reminded me of the last 5 years. Instead, I walked back to the kitchen area, just a hot plate and a mini fridge, and pulled out the small cooler where I kept my medications. I'd been rationing my blood pressure pills for 3 months now, choosing between prescriptions and groceries. That would end soon. I grabbed my purse, my phone, and my keys. And then I remembered. The bond. I walked back to the restaurant. Would be closed now, but I knew the night manager. I'd donated enough to his daughter's college fund that he owed me a favor. 20 minutes later, I was back at the Emerald. The dining room was dark chairs stacked on tables, but Miguel, the night manager, let me in through the service entrance. Miss Morgan, he said, his accent thick with concern. Are you all right? I heard what happened tonight. I'm fine, Miguel. I just need to retrieve something. He led me to the main dining room. The ice bucket was still there, half-melted water pooling on the tablecloth. I reached in and pulled out the soggy, crumpled bond. Is that it? Miguel asked. This is it. He looked at the wet piece of paper, then at me. That's worth something to you. More than you know, sweetheart. More than you know. I tipped him $100 bill, one of the last I had in cash. His eyes went wide. Miss Morgan, I can't. Take it, Miguel. And remember, the value of something isn't always written on paper. I drove back to the estate one last time. Not to my basement room, but to the garage where I kept something Jennifer didn't know about. My Gulfstream G650. Jennifer had wanted to sell it 2 years ago. Too old, she'd said. We need the newer model. But the jet was in my name. Personally, not the company's. She couldn't touch it. I'd kept it maintained, kept it fueled, kept the pilot on retainer, just in case. Tonight was just in case. I took the bond back to my room and carefully smoothed it out on the desk. The water had stained it, wrinkled the edges, but it was still valid. I placed it in the center of my pillow. Then I took a piece of paper and a pen, and I wrote, You said it was your money, Jennifer. You were wrong. It was never your money. It was mine. And now I'm taking it back. Mother, I left the note next to the bond. I walked out of the basement door and into the night, past the garage with its collection of luxury cars, past the pool where Jennifer threw her lavish parties, past the gardens I'd once tended myself before my knees got bad. I walked through the gate and didn't look back. By morning, when the sun rose over Boston, my daughter would wake up a poor woman, and I would be a ghost. The morning sun hit the windows of the master bedroom at exactly 7 a.m. Jennifer loved her routines. Wake up, stretch in Egyptian cotton sheets, ring the bell for coffee. Usually I was the one who brought it. I ground the beans, frothed the milk just the way she liked, added exactly half a teaspoon of vanilla syrup. But this morning the bell rang into silence. I wasn't there to hear it. I was 40,000 feet above Pennsylvania, watching Boston disappear behind me through the jet window. But I could imagine it. I'd lived it for 5 years. I knew exactly what was happening. Jennifer woke to her alarm, the same alarm that had been chirping at her for 20 years. She reached over and slapped it off, then stretched her arms above her head. The sheets were cool and smooth against her skin. The bedroom was perfectly climate-controlled. 72 degrees, not a degree more or less. She sat up and pressed the button on her nightstand, the little buzzer that connected to my room in the basement. She waited. No footsteps on the stairs. No gentle knock on the door. No smell of fresh coffee wafting up from the kitchen. She pressed it again. Longer this time. Still nothing. "John," she said, shaking her husband's shoulder. "John, wake up." He groaned and rolled over. "What?" "Mother isn't answering. Go check on her." "You go check on her." "I have a board meeting at 9. I need to shower." She was already swinging her legs out of bed, reaching for her silk robe. "Just go down there and tell her I need my latte. Now." John grumbled but got up. He shuffled out of the room in his pajama pants, heading down the hallway toward the basement stairs. Jennifer went into the bathroom and turned on the shower. She had it calibrated perfectly, 103 degrees with just the right pressure. She stepped under the spray, closed her eyes, and reached for her imported lavender shampoo. The water hit her shoulders. Hot. Perfect. And then it died. Not gradually, not a slow fade, just gone. She stood there, soap in her hair, cold air raising goosebumps on her skin. "What the hell?" she muttered. She tried the faucet. A few sputtering drops, then nothing. "John!" she screamed. She wrapped a towel around herself and stormed out into the hallway, water dripping onto the hardwood floors. The floors she'd had refinished last month for $30,000. "John, the water's out." Oh. No answer. She heard footsteps pounding up the basement stairs. John appeared, his face white. "She's gone," he said. "What do you mean gone?" "I mean gone. Her room's empty. Everything's gone." Jennifer's stomach did a strange flip. "She probably just went for a walk. You know how she is in the mornings." "Jennifer?" John's voice was strange, tight. "Her laptop's gone. Her medications. Even that ugly painting she kept by the bed. She didn't go for a walk. She left." For a moment, Jennifer just stood there, dripping and cold. Then she laughed. "Left? Don't be ridiculous. Where would she go? She doesn't have any money. She barely leaves the house." "I'm telling you, the room is empty." Jennifer pushed past him and headed for the basement. She took the stairs 2 at a time, her wet feet slapping on the concrete. John was right. The room was bare. The bed was made but stripped of sheets. The closet door hung open, revealing empty hangers. The desk was cleared. On the pillow, something white caught her eye. She walked over slowly, picked up the piece of paper. And there underneath it was the $50 bond she'd thrown in the ice bucket last night. Smoothed out, carefully placed. She read the note. "You said it was your money, Jennifer. You were wrong. It was never your money. It was mine. And now I'm taking it back." "Mother." "What the hell does that mean?" John said from the doorway. Jennifer's hands started to shake. Not from cold now, from something else. Something that felt like ice spreading through her chest. "It means—" She stopped. Tried again. "It doesn't mean anything. She's just being dramatic. Trying to guilt-trip me for last night." But even as she said it, she didn't believe it. Her phone buzzed in the pocket of her robe. She pulled it out. A notification from her banking app's app. She frowned and swiped it open, expecting to see the usual morning summary. Account balances, recent transactions, investment portfolio performance. The screen loaded, and Jennifer's world tilted sideways. Checking account surrender, savings account sold, investment portfolio, access denied. Contact administrator, she refreshed. Refreshed again. The numbers didn't change. No, she whispered. No, 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 no. She opened her credit card app with shaking fingers. Black American Express canceled by account holder. Platinum Visa reported stolen. Account frozen. Joint bank account. Account closed by primary holder. John Si-san. Her voice came out high and thin. John, something's wrong with my accounts. What? Everything's at zero. The cards are canceled. This has to be a mistake. A hack or something. She was already dialing the bank's customer service line, her fingers fumbling over the numbers. It rang 4 times before someone picked up. Good morning, this is First Boston National. My name is Kevin. How can I? This is Jennifer Morgan Hayes. There's been a mistake with my accounts. Everything's showing zero, and I need you to fix it immediately. I'd be happy to help you with that, Ms. Morgan Hayes. Can I verify some information first? Date of birth? She rattled it off along with her social security number and mother's maiden name. Well, Ashley's maiden name. Harrison. Thank you. I'm pulling up your accounts now. Can you tell me which account you're calling about? All of them. Checking, savings, investments, credit cards, everything's showing wrong. A pause. Keyboard clicking. I see. Ms. Morgan Hayes, according to our records, these accounts were closed this morning at 8:01 a.m. by the primary account holder. That's me. I'm the primary holder. Actually, ma'am, the primary account holder is listed as Ashley Morgan. You were an authorized user on these accounts. The floor seemed to drop out from under Jennifer's feet. That's impossible. I'm the CEO of Morgan Logistics. These are company accounts. The company accounts have also been frozen, ma'am, by order of the board of directors. I'm showing a notice here that says, let me read this correctly. Beneficiary status terminated per trust agreement, section 14, paragraph B. What trust agreement? What are you talking about? I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't have access to those details. You'd need to contact the trust administrator. The name listed here is Robert Sullivan of Sullivan & Moore. Jennifer ended the call. She stood there in her dead mother's empty room in her wet towel, holding a dead phone and a $50 bond. And then the lights went out. Not just in the basement, the whole house. She heard John swear from upstairs, heard something crash. The utilities. The utilities were in the trust's name, too. Jennifer's knees gave out. She sat down hard on the bare mattress. What did she do? She whispered to the empty room. What the hell did she do? I watched it all from my laptop screen. The security cameras in the house were on a separate system, one Jennifer didn't even know existed. I watched her face go white as she read the bank statement. I watched her collapse on my bed, my prison bed, as the lights went dark. And I felt nothing. No, that was a lie. I felt everything. Rage and grief and guilt and satisfaction all churning together in my chest until I thought I might be sick. Dr. Patricia Wood sat beside me in the jet, her hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, Ashley, she said quietly. Then why does it hurt so much? Because she's still your daughter, and you're still her mother. That doesn't change just because you had to choose yourself for once. I closed the laptop. I couldn't watch anymore. What happens now? I asked. Patricia squeezed my shoulder. Now we land in New York. Now you rest. Now you remember that you're not just a mother. You're Ashley Morgan. You built an empire, and you just took it back. I leaned back in the leather seat and closed my eyes. Outside the window, America scrolled by beneath us. Cities and farmland, rivers and highways. A whole country that had no idea that in a basement in Brookline, Massachusetts, a dynasty had just fallen. And in the sky above it, a 72-year-old woman was flying toward freedom. The game had just begun. Jennifer sat in the dark for a long time. She wasn't sure how long. Could have been 10 minutes. Could have been an hour. Time felt strange without the hum of electricity, without the LED clocks, without the background noise of a house that was always on, always running, always consuming power like it consumed everything else. She heard John moving around upstairs, the sound of drawers opening and closing, the rustle of clothing. Finally, she stood up. Her towel had fallen off at some point. She was naked in her mother's room in the dark. She felt around for the door, stumbled up the basement stairs, and emerged into the kitchen. Pale gray light filtered through the windows. Dawn was breaking over Boston. John was in the bedroom getting dressed. He'd put on jeans and a sweater. Casual clothes. The kind he never wore anymore. "I'm going to the office," he said without looking at her. "The office, John, we need to figure out what's—" "There's nothing to figure out, Jennifer." He pulled on his shoes. "Your mother screwed us. Simple as that." "But how? She's just an old woman. She doesn't even know how to use her iPhone properly." John looked at her then. Really looked at her. And something in his eyes made her go cold all over again. "Is that what you thought?" he asked quietly. "That she was just some doddering old lady who needed us to take care of her? Well, she lived in the basement. She needed us. She chose to live in the basement because we put her there." He shook his head. "Jesus, Jennifer. She built Morgan Logistics from one truck. One truck, she turned it into a multi-million-dollar company. And you thought she was stupid. I never said you treated her like she was stupid. You treated her like garbage. And now she's gone and you're surprised she took her money with her." "Her money, it's our money. I've been running that company for 5 years. "No." John picked up his wallet from the dresser. "You've been spending her money for 5 years. There's a difference." He walked past her out of the bedroom down the stairs. She followed him, her voice rising. "Where are you going?" "I told you. The office." "To do what?" "To see if I still have a job. To see if maybe, just maybe, I can salvage something from this disaster you created." "I created you were there last night. You sat there and said nothing while you threw a $50 bond in the trash and called your mother garbage." John turned to face her at the bottom of the stairs. "Yeah, I was there, and I said nothing. That's on me." He grabbed his keys from the hook by the door. "John, please. We need to stay together. We need to figure this out together." "Together?" He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Like we were together when you were screaming at your mother in front of half of Boston. Like we were together when you stuck her in a basement room with no windows. She said she liked it. She said it was easier. And you believed her." John's voice was soft now, deadly soft. "Or did you just want to believe her because it was convenient?" Jennifer opened her mouth, closed it, couldn't find words. "I'm leaving," John said. "I'll be back tonight, maybe, if I still have anything to come back to." He walked out. The door closed behind him with a soft click, and Jennifer was alone in the big, dark, silent house. She stood there in the foyer with its imported marble floors and its chandelier that cost $40,000, and she tried to make sense of what was happening. Her mother was gone. The money was gone. The power was out. Everything was wrong. She walked to the study and pulled open the drawer where they kept important documents. Tax returns, insurance policies, the deed to the house. Except the deed wasn't there. She pulled out file after file, scattering papers across the desk. Birth certificates, marriage license, Sammy's school records. Finally, she found it. A folder labeled Morgan Family Trust, Confidential. She'd seen this folder before but had never looked inside. Ashley had said it was just legal paperwork. Boring stuff. Jennifer opened it now. And there it was, the trust agreement. 50 pages of legal language that might as well have been written in ancient Greek for all she could understand it. But certain phrases jumped out at her. Grantor retains absolute power to revoke. Beneficiary status may be terminated for cause. Gross misconduct includes but is not limited to public humiliation of grantor, misappropriation of trust, assets, failure to maintain fiduciary duty. Jennifer's hands started shaking so badly the papers rustled. She pulled out her phone dead battery and ran upstairs to find John's laptop. She plugged it in, waited for it to boot up, and searched for revocable trust beneficiary rights. The first article that came up, What Happens When You're Removed as a Trust Beneficiary? She read, and felt the bottom drop out of her world. She wasn't the owner of Morgan Logistics. She'd never been the owner. She was the beneficiary of a trust that her mother controlled, and beneficiaries could be removed. At any time. For any reason the grantor deemed sufficient. "Oh God," she whispered to the empty room. "Oh God, oh God, oh God." She thought about last night, about the things she'd said, the way she'd acted. Public humiliation, calling her mother's gift garbage, in front of witnesses. That was cause. That was definitely cause. Jennifer stood up, paced the room, sat back down. Stood up again. She needed help. She needed a lawyer. She needed her phone. Where was her phone? She found it on the bathroom counter, plugged it in, waited for it to charge enough to turn on. Finally, the screen lit up. 53 missed calls. 47 text messages. She scrolled through them with growing horror. Board meeting canceled. Director, need to talk ASAP. CFO. What's going on? VP of Operations. Is it true? Marketing Director. And then at the bottom, a text from a number she didn't recognize. Ms. Morgan Hayes, this is Robert Sullivan of Sullivan & Moore. We need to meet. My office. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Do not be late. Jennifer stared at the message. Sullivan, her mother's lawyer. The man who'd drafted the trust agreement. The man who was apparently carrying out Ashley's orders to destroy everything Jennifer had worked for. She typed back, I'll be there. Then she threw the phone across the room and screamed. The neon sign flickered against the gray Boston sky. Starlight Motel. 3 letters were burnt out, so it read Starlight, M-O-T-L. Jennifer sat in the passenger seat of John's BMW, the one car they still had because it was leased in his father's company name, and stared at the building. Peeling paint. Cracked parking lot. A vending machine with a broken glass panel. This was 10 miles outside the city, next to a highway that smelled of diesel and fried food. We're not staying here, she said. John didn't answer. He was staring at his phone at the banking app that still showed 0 across every account. John, we are not staying here. Where else do you suggest? His voice was flat. Dead. We have $800. That's it. That's all we have in the world. We have friends. We can call. I've been calling. He turned to look at her. All morning. Every number in my contacts. You know how many people answered 3? You know what they said? So sorry, have to run, talk later. Jennifer felt her chest tighten. They're busy. It's Monday morning. Everyone knows Jennifer. He opened his car door. The board meeting was this morning. Emergency session. Your mother's lawyer was there. By now, every person in Boston's financial district knows that Ashley Morgan cut off her daughter and took back her company. He got out of the car, walked toward the motel office. Jennifer sat there staring at the dashboard, at the nearly empty gas gauge, at her hands, which still wore the rings John had given her, a 2-carat engagement ring, a diamond-studded wedding band, together worth maybe $60,000. She could pawn them. The thought made her stomach turn. She got out of the car and followed John inside. The motel clerk looked them up and down, took in Jennifer's Chanel suit, John's Italian loafers, the BMW in the parking lot. We don't rent by the hour, he said. We need a room for the week, John said. How much? $40 a night, $280 for the week, cash only. John counted out $300. The clerk handed him a key attached to a plastic tag. Room 104. The room smelled like cigarette smoke and industrial cleaner. There was one bed with a sagging mattress, a TV bolted to the wall, a bathroom the size of a closet. Jennifer stood in the doorway, unable to make herself step inside. Come on, John said. He'd already dropped their overnight bags, packed in a hurry that morning with whatever they could grab on the bed. This is temporary, Jennifer said. Just until we figure out what to do. Right, temporary. But they both knew better. Jennifer finally stepped inside, sat on the edge of the bed. The springs squeaked. The comforter was rough and thin. 24 hours ago, she'd woken up in a king-sized bed with a memory foam mattress and silk sheets. She'd had a closet bigger than this entire room. She'd had everything. Now she had a motel room that cost $40 a night and smelled like someone else's mistakes. She put her face in her hands. I need to call Sammy, she said. He's at school. I need to hear his voice. Jennifer. John's voice was sharp. Calling him right now? Telling him what? That we're broke and living in a motel, that his grandmother destroyed us. What good does that do? She looked up at him. You're blaming me. I'm blaming both of us. I'm the one she punished. I'm the one who... Her voice cracked. She's my mother, John. My mother. How could she do this? John sat down beside her. For a moment she thought he might put his arm around her, comfort her. Instead, he pulled out his phone and stared at it. We need money, he said. Real money. Enough to hire a lawyer. Enough to fight this. Fight it how you read the trust agreement. She can revoke our status for cause. And what I did last night, Was cruel. I know. John's jaw tightened. But she's 72 years old, Jennifer. She's been acting strange for months, forgetting things, getting confused. No, she hasn't. She has. We just need to document it. He stood up, paced the small room. We get her declared incompetent. Get a guardianship. Then we reverse everything. Jennifer's heart started beating faster. I mean we prove she's not mentally fit to make these decisions, that she's suffering from dementia or something, that she needs us to take care of her. But she's not suffering from dementia. John stopped pacing, looked at her. Isn't she? Think about it. The erratic behavior. Giving Sammy that weird bond. Disappearing in the middle of the night. These aren't the actions of a sound mind. Jennifer wanted to argue, wanted to say that her mother was the sharpest person she knew, that Ashley Morgan had built an empire through cunning and intelligence. But she was so tired, so scared. And the idea that this could all be fixed, that they could undo the disaster, was too tempting. How? She asked quietly. I know a doctor, John said. Guy I used to work with. He's flexible about diagnoses. You mean he'll lie? I mean he'll help us. For a price. What price? We don't have any money. We will. Once we get control back. John knelt down in front of her, took her hands. Jennifer, listen to me. We can fix this. We can get everything back. But we need to act fast before your mother does any more damage. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. Okay, she whispered. Okay, call him. I sat in the penthouse suite of the St. Regis Hotel in Manhattan, watching the security feed from the motel parking lot. Sullivan had put a tracking device on John's car the night before. It wasn't illegal. The car was leased through a company I had partial ownership in. Everything was above board. Legal, but not kind. I watched Jennifer get out of the BMW, watched her stand there, staring at the motel like it was a prison, and I felt my chest tighten. Turn it off, Dr. Patricia Woods said from behind me. I need to see. You need to rest. Patricia took the laptop from my hands and closed it. Ashley, you haven't slept in 36 hours. Your blood pressure is through the roof. If you don't take care of yourself, you won't live long enough to see this through. I'm fine. You're not fine. You had a panic attack on the plane. Your hands are shaking. And you nearly passed out this morning. I looked down at my hands. She was right. They were trembling. I gave her everything, Patricia, I said quietly. Everything I had. And it still wasn't enough. You gave her things. Money. Opportunities. Patricia sat down beside me on the couch. But you weren't there, Ash. You were building the company. You were making deals. I was being a bad mother. The words hurt to say. I know. I was absent. I missed her childhood. You were building her future. I was building an empire. There's a difference. I leaned back, closed my eyes. She's right to hate me, Patricia. I just wish she'd hated me to my face instead of taking my money and treating me like trash. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Then, do you want to stop? I opened my eyes. What, this? All of this? Do you want to stop? Call Sullivan, tell him to restore the accounts, bring Jennifer back into the fold? I thought about the basement room, the 5 years of being invisible, the look on Jennifer's face when she threw that bond in the ice bucket. No, I said. I don't want to stop, but I want to feel worse about it than I do. You feel terrible. I can see it. Not terrible enough. My phone buzzed. A text from Sullivan. Jennifer just contacted Dr. Vincent Russo, disgraced psychiatrist, known for fraudulent diagnoses. She's planning something. I showed the message to Patricia. She's going to try to have you declared incompetent, Patricia said. I know. Ashley, if she succeeds, she won't, because I'm going to give her exactly what she wants. I stood up, walked to the window. Manhattan stretched out below me, all steel and glass and ambition. I'm going to let her find me. Let her think she's caught me. And then I'm going to show her what happens when you hunt a tiger. What are you planning? I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Justice, Patricia. I'm planning justice. Jennifer sat across from Dr. Vincent Russo in his office, a converted storefront between a nail salon and a check-cashing place. The man was maybe 60, with thinning hair and a cheap suit that smelled like cigarettes. His medical license was framed on the wall, but she could see where it had been laminated and relaminated. probably revoked and reinstated more than once. So, Russo said, leaning back in his chair, you want me to evaluate your mother? I want you to tell the truth, Jennifer said carefully, that she's not mentally competent, that she's suffering from dementia. And is she? Jennifer hesitated. She's 72. She's been acting erratically, forgetting things. Uh-huh. Russo pulled out a notepad. What kind of things? She gave my son a $50 bond for his birthday, instead of a real gift. Russo looked at her over his glasses. That's not dementia, Ms. Morgan Hayes. That's being cheap. It's not normal behavior. She used to give appropriate gifts. When was the last time she gave an appropriate gift? Jennifer thought about it. Couldn't remember. It's been a while. How long's a while? I don't know, a few years. So for a few years, your mother has been giving modest gifts and you think this indicates dementia. It's not just the gifts. She lived in our basement. She kept to herself. She barely spoke at family dinners. Did you ask her to live in the basement? We offered her a room there because it had no stairs. It was easier for her. I see. Russo made a note. And the modest gifts, the isolation, these started when? About 5 years ago, when she retired. So she retired, moved into your basement at your suggestion and became withdrawn. And now she's cut you out of her will, and you want me to say she's incompetent. Jennifer's face flushed. It's not like that. Then what's it like? She's my mother. I'm worried about her. She disappeared in the middle of the night. She drained all our bank accounts. She's clearly not thinking straight. Russo leaned forward. Ms. Morgan Hayes, let me be straight with you. What you're describing isn't dementia. It's revenge. The word hung in the air between them. I can help you, Russo continued, but it won't be cheap, and it won't be pretty. We'd have to get her in front of me for an evaluation. We'd have to document erratic behavior, and even then, any competent lawyer could tear my testimony apart. How much? $50,000 cash up front? Jennifer laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. I don't have $50,000. I don't have $50. Then you don't have a case. Russo stood up. Come back when you have money. Wait. Jennifer stood too. What if I could guarantee payment after we get the trust back? Guarantees don't pay my bills. Please. The word tasted like acid. I'm desperate. My mother has destroyed everything. I have a son. Her voice broke. I have nothing. Russo studied her for a long moment. Then he sighed. There's another option, he said slowly. More aggressive, more risk, but it could work faster. What option? We don't wait for a court-ordered evaluation. We create an emergency situation. Prove your mother is a danger to herself or others. Get her on a psychiatric hold. How? We find her. We document her acting irrationally. And we encourage that irrationality. Then we call it in. Get her committed for 72 hours. During that time, we get her to sign over power of attorney. Jennifer felt sick. You mean drug her? I mean sedate her, for her own safety. Russo's eyes were cold. Look, lady, I don't know what you want from me. You want me to wave a magic wand and fix your problems. I'm telling you what works. What you do with that information is up to you. Jennifer stood there, her heart pounding. This was wrong. So wrong. But she thought about the motel room, about Sammy, about losing everything because her mother was vindictive and cruel. I'll think about it, she said. 3 days later, Jennifer got the call. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? A woman's voice hushed and urgent. Is this Jennifer Morgan Hayes? Yes. Who is this? I can't give my name, but I work at Boston General Hospital. I saw the news reports about your mother. Jennifer's heart stopped. Is she okay? Is she hurt? She's here, in the geriatric ward. She checked in under a fake name, but I recognized her from the photos. She seems confused. She keeps asking what year it is. She thinks it's 1985. Oh my God. Jennifer grabbed her purse, her keys. What room? I'm coming right now. Wait, I could lose my job for calling you. I just thought a daughter should know. She's in the East Wing, 3rd floor, room 312. But you didn't hear it from me. The line went dead. Jennifer stood there, phone in hand, mind racing. This was it. This was the proof she needed. Her mother confused and disoriented in a hospital. It was perfect. She called John. Get Russo. Tell him to meet us at Boston General and call the school. We're picking up Sammy." "Why Sammy?" "Because when we find Mom, she needs to see what she's doing to her family. She needs to see her grandson. Maybe that'll snap her out of whatever breakdown she's having. Or maybe it'll make her worse. I don't care. We need witnesses. We need proof. And we need to make her understand what she's putting us through." She hung up before John could argue. 45 minutes later, they were at St. Jude's Academy. Jennifer marched straight to the playground fence where the fourth graders were at recess. "Sammy," she called. Her son looked up from where he was trading baseball cards with a friend. His face lit up. "Mom!" "Come on, sweetie, family emergency." "Mrs. Hayes, you need to sign him out through the office." The playground monitor started toward her. "We don't have time." Jennifer reached over the fence and lifted Sammy up. He was getting big. 10 years old, almost too heavy to lift, but adrenaline made her strong. She set him down outside the fence and grabbed his hand. "Mom, what's wrong?" "What's the emergency?" "Grandma Ashley is sick. We need to go see her." They got to the car where John was waiting Russo in the back seat with his medical bag. Sammy climbed in, looked at the stranger. "Who's he?" "That's Dr. Russo. He's going to help Grandma." "Is she okay?" Jennifer met John's eyes in the rearview mirror, saw her own desperation reflected there. "She will be," Jennifer said. "She will be once we get her the help she needs." I sat in the hospital administrator's office watching the security feed of the main entrance. Dr. Patricia Wood stood beside me, her face pale. "Ashley, this is insane. You're using yourself as bait." "I'm using their greed as bait," I corrected. "There's a difference. What if it goes wrong? What if that doctor actually tries to drug you? Then the 6 police officers in the cafeteria will arrest him, along with my daughter." I kept my eyes on the screen. "Patricia, I know what I'm doing. Do you—" She grabbed my shoulder, forced me to look at her. "Because from where I'm sitting, you're playing a very dangerous game with your own freedom. I've been playing it safe for 5 years. Look where that got me." I turned back to the screen. Jennifer needs to learn that actions have consequences, and I need to know— My voice caught. "I need to know if there's anything left of my daughter worth saving." "What if there isn't?" "Then at least I'll know." A car pulled up to the entrance, John's BMW. "They're here," I said. I watched Jennifer get out, watched her pull Sammy from the back seat, watched a man I assumed was Dr. Russo emerge carrying a black medical bag. My grandson looked confused, scared, and that's when I saw it. Jennifer grabbed Sammy's arm, roughly, hard enough that he flinched. She leaned down and said something to him. He started crying. "What is she doing?" Patricia whispered. I zoomed in the camera. Jennifer was coaching him, telling him what to say, and when he didn't respond the way she wanted, she squeezed harder. I could see the marks forming on his arm, red crescents where her nails dug in. "No," I breathed. "No, Jennifer, don't." But she did. She pinched him, hard. Sammy's face crumpled. Real tears now. Not the fake ones Jennifer wanted. Real pain. And Jennifer pulled out her phone and started recording. "Grandma Ashley," Sammy sobbed into the camera. "Please come home. I'm scared. Please." I felt something break inside my chest. Something that had been cracking for days finally shattered completely. "That's it," I said. My voice was ice. "Patricia, call the police. Tell them to move in the moment Jennifer and Russo enter the building. And call Child Protective Services. I want Sammy removed from their custody immediately." "Ashley, she hurt him. She hurt him. To manipulate me." I stood up, my whole body shaking. "She crossed a line she doesn't even know exists." I walked to the door. "Where are you going?" Patricia asked. "To end this." Jennifer walked through the automatic doors of Boston General Hospital, pulling Sammy by the hand. John followed with Dr. Russo trailing behind like a shadow. Her heart was pounding. This was it. This was the moment everything turned around. They'd find Ashley confused and disoriented. Russo would document her condition. They'd get her committed on a psych hold. And in 72 hours, Jennifer would have power of attorney. Everything would go back to normal. She approached the reception desk. "I'm looking for my mother, Ashley Morgan. She was admitted to the geriatric ward." The receptionist looked at her computer, frowned. "I don't see anyone by that name." She might have checked in under a different name. She's confused. That's why we're here. Ma'am, I can't give you patient information if... I got a call from one of your staff. She said my mother was in room 312 East Wing. The receptionist's frown deepened. Room 312 is in the solarium, not the geriatric ward, and it's not a patient room. Just tell me where it is. 3rd floor. Take the elevator to the right. But ma'am, I really should... Jennifer was already moving. She dragged Sammy toward the elevators, John and Russo hurrying to keep up. Mom, you're hurting my hand, Sammy whimpered. Shh, not now. They crowded into the elevator. Jennifer pressed the button for the 3rd floor. The doors slid closed, and in that small metal box, Jennifer felt the first flutter of doubt. This was too easy. The anonymous call, the exact room number, the unlocked doors. John, she said slowly, what if... But the elevator dinged. 3rd floor. The doors opened. They stepped out into a bright, plant-filled corridor. Signs pointed toward the solarium. Jennifer followed them, her doubt growing with each step. The solarium doors were glass. She could see inside, see the wheelchair by the window, a blanket-wrapped figure sitting motionless. That's her, she whispered. She pushed through the doors. The room was beautiful, full of plants and sunshine, large windows overlooking the Boston skyline, and in the center, facing away from them, the wheelchair. Mother, Jennifer called out. Her voice echoed in the empty space. No response. She walked closer. Mother, it's Jennifer. We've come to take you home. Still nothing. Russo stepped forward, pulling a syringe from his bag. Miss Morgan, I'm Dr. Russo. I'm here to help. Just stay calm. He approached the wheelchair from behind. Jennifer pulled Sammy forward. Look, Mom, Sammy's here. Your grandson. Sammy was crying softly. I want to go home. In a minute, baby. First, we need to help Grandma. Russo reached for the figure in the wheelchair, grabbed the shoulder, started to turn it around, and the doors behind them burst open. Police, drop the weapon. Everything happened at once. Jennifer spun around, saw 8 officers in tactical gear flooding into the room, saw their weapons drawn. Russo dropped the syringe. It hit the floor and shattered clear liquid spreading across the tile, and the wheelchair spun around. But it wasn't Ashley. It was a police detective, a woman in her 40s wearing a tactical vest over her hospital gown. What? Jennifer couldn't form words. What is this Jennifer Morgan Hayes? The detective stood up from the wheelchair. You're under arrest for attempted assault conspiracy to commit fraud and child endangerment. Child endangerment? I'm his mother. One of the officers stepped forward with a tablet, turned it around to show Jennifer. The security footage. From the parking lot. Jennifer pinching Sammy's arm, recording his forced tears. No, Jennifer whispered. No, that's out of context. Hands behind your back, ma'am. Cold metal clicked around her wrists. Handcuffs. John was already cuffed, being read his rights. Russo was on his knees, hands on his head. And Sammy, a woman in civilian clothes, a CPS badge around her neck, was lifting him up, carrying him away from the chaos. Mama, he screamed. Mama, Sammy baby, it's okay. You have the right to remain silent. The words washed over Jennifer like static. She couldn't think, couldn't breathe. This was wrong. This was all wrong. And then she heard it. Footsteps, slow, measured, confident. She turned her head. And there, walking out of the administrator's office in a perfectly tailored Chanel suit and heels, was Ashley Morgan. Not confused, not disoriented, not in a hospital gown. Powerful, in control, terrifying. Hello, Jennifer, Ashley said. Jennifer's legs went weak. If the officer hadn't been holding her, she would have fallen. Mom, her voice came out small, broken. You set me up. I gave you a choice. Ashley stopped 3 feet away. Last night at dinner, you could have apologized. This morning, you could have walked away. But you chose this. You chose to hunt me. You chose to hurt my grandson. She looked at Sammy being carried out by the CPS worker. The boy was still crying. He's scared, Jennifer said. Please, you're scaring him. I'm scaring him. Ashley's voice was quiet, deadly. You pinched him hard enough to bruise. You made him cry real tears so you could manipulate me. And I'm scaring him. Ashley stepped closer, close enough that Jennifer could see the pain in her eyes, the rage, the grief. I raised you better than this, Ashley whispered. I gave you everything. My name, my company, my love, and you threw it away for what money? You're the one who took the money. I took my money that you were spending like it was water. Ashley's voice rose. I worked 70-hour weeks to build that company. I sacrificed everything. And you called my gift to Sammy garbage. Jennifer was crying now, real tears like Sammy's had been. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I was cruel. I was wrong. Please just don't do this. Don't take Sammy. You took him from me first. Ashley turned away. 5 years, Jennifer. 5 years I barely saw him because you kept him away from me. Told him I was busy. Told him I didn't have time. Don't lie to me. Ashley spun back, and for the first time Jennifer saw tears on her mother's face. I have the texts, the emails. You told his school I wasn't allowed to pick him up. You canceled my visits. You erased me from his life, and now you're surprised I'm taking him back. The officer started pulling Jennifer toward the door. Mom, please. Jennifer struggled against the cuffs. Please, I'm your daughter. Ashley looked at her, and in that moment, Jennifer saw something that made her blood run cold. Nothing. No love, no hate. Just nothing. You stopped being my daughter, Ashley said quietly, the moment you decided I was worth less than your bank account. Jennifer was dragged out of the solarium, through the hallways, past staring nurses and shocked patients. The last thing she saw was Ashley standing alone in that sunny room, standing tall and strong and absolutely alone. And Jennifer realized too late what she'd done. She hadn't just lost her mother's money. She'd lost her mother. I sat in the administrator's office long after they'd taken Jennifer away. Patricia brought me tea. I didn't drink it. You're shaking, she said. I looked down at my hands. She was right. I need to see Sammy. The CPS worker has him in a private room. They're assessing him, making sure he's not injured. He's not injured. He's traumatized. There's a difference. I stood up. My legs felt unsteady. Take me to him. Patricia put a hand on my arm. Ashley, you just had your daughter arrested. Your blood pressure. Take me to my grandson. Now. She sighed, but she led me down the hallway to a small family consultation room. Sammy was sitting on a couch, clutching a teddy bear someone had given him. The CPS worker, a kind-looking woman named Linda Hayes, sat beside him. Ms. Morgan, Linda said, standing. I'm so sorry about all of this. We have to follow protocol, but I understand. May I speak to him alone? She hesitated. 5 minutes. I'll be right outside. The door closed. I sat down on the couch a careful distance from Sammy. He looked so small, so scared. Hi, sweetheart, I said softly. He didn't look at me. Are they going to jail, Mama and Daddy? I don't know yet. Probably not jail, but they're in trouble. Because of me. No, baby, not because of you. Because of choices they made. Mama said you were sick. She said you needed help. I felt my throat tighten. Do I look sick to you? He finally looked at me, those big brown eyes so much like his grandfather Thomas's. No, he whispered. You look mad. I am mad, but not at you. Never at you. Are you mad at Mama? I thought about lying, thought about making it easier for him, but I'd spent too many years lying. To Jennifer, to myself. Yes, I said. I'm very mad at your Mama. She did some things that hurt people. That hurt you. Sammy touched his arm where Jennifer had pinched him. It doesn't hurt now. Good. That's good. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Sammy said very quietly, Where am I going to live? And there it was, the question I'd been dreading. Would you like to live with me? I asked. Just for a little while, until your parents get things sorted out. In the basement, the words hit me like a punch. No, sweetheart, not in the basement. I have a different house now, with a big yard and a swing set and your own room with whatever decorations you want. Even dinosaurs, especially dinosaurs. He thought about it. Then okay, but can we visit Mama? Of course we can. Even though she's in trouble. Because that's what families do. We don't give up on each other even when things are hard. Sammy leaned against me. I put my arm around him, felt his small body shake with silent sobs. I'm sorry about your birthday present, I whispered. The bond. Mama threw it away. I know. But you got it back. I saw it. In your room. I did get it back, because some things are worth keeping even when other people think they're garbage. Like me. My heart broke all over again. Especially like you. I held my grandson and let him cry. Let myself cry too. Outside the window, Boston continued on. People rushing to work. Traffic humming. The world turning like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I'd won the battle. Taken back my power. Destroyed my daughter's world. And all it cost me was my family. Was it worth it? Ask me again in 10 years. When Sammy's 20. When he's grown into the kind of man who values character over cash. Then maybe I'll have an answer. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Jennifer sat on a metal bench in the holding cell, still wearing her Chanel suit. It was wrinkled now, stained with coffee from when the arresting officer had stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. 24 hours ago, she'd been drinking champagne at the Emerald. Now she was in county jail waiting for her bail hearing. Her cellmate was a woman named Rita, hard-faced prison tattoos eyes that had seen too much. "What are you in for, Princess?" Rita asked, not looking up from the magazine she was reading. "My mother framed me," Jennifer said. Rita laughed, hard and bitter. "Sure, honey. Sure she did." Jennifer didn't respond. What was the point? The guard called her name. "Morgan Hayes, you made bail." She stood up, legs shaky. Someone had posted bail, thank God. It had to be John. He'd found money somewhere, maybe borrowed from his parents. Maybe she walked out into the processing area, and there was John. But he wasn't smiling, wasn't relieved. He looked guilty. "Jen," he said, "we need to talk." "Did you post bail?" "Your mother's lawyer did, Sullivan. He said it was in the interest of justice that you be present for the emergency hearing." Jennifer's stomach dropped. "She paid my bail." "It's a trap. It has to be. She wants you there so she can—" John stopped, looked away. "I can't do this anymore. Can't do what this, us, fighting your mother, losing everything." He ran his hand through his hair, the hair she'd always loved because it was thick and dark and made him look like a movie star. "My lawyer says if I cooperate, I might avoid prison time." The words took a moment to sink in. "Cooperate," Jennifer's voice came out small. "Cooperate how?" "I was there, Jen, at the restaurant, at the hospital. I have recordings, photos. I can testify about the plan to drug your mother." "You were part of that plan." "I know, and I'm sorry, but I have to save myself. I have to—" His voice cracked. "My parents cut me off when I married you. Remember, I have nothing. No family money, no trust fund. If I go to prison, I lose everything." "You already lost everything. We both did." "No." John shook his head. "You lost everything. I still have a chance." Jennifer felt something cold spreading through her chest, like ice water in her veins. "You're going to testify against me." "I have to." "I'm your wife." "You were my wife when you had money." The words came out harsh, mean. "I didn't marry you for love, Jennifer. I married you because you were Ashley Morgan's daughter, because you came with a company and a mansion and a future. You said you loved me." "I loved your lifestyle. There's a difference." He started backing toward the door. "My lawyer's waiting. I'm sorry. I really am. But you understand, right? I have to survive." "John, please." "Goodbye, Jennifer." He walked out, and Jennifer stood there in the county jail processing area in her stained Chanel suit, watching her husband abandon her. She started laughing. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone whose mind was cracking under the weight of too much loss. The guard looked at her with concern. "Ma'am, you okay?" "I'm fine," Jennifer gasped between laughs. "I'm perfect. My mother destroyed me. My husband betrayed me and I'm facing prison time. Everything's wonderful." The laughing turned to crying. And then she couldn't tell the difference anymore. Family Court, Suffolk County. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m., Jennifer sat at the defendant's table with a court-appointed lawyer, a tired-looking man named Marcus Reeves who'd introduced himself 5 minutes before the hearing started. "Just be honest," he'd told her. "Show remorse. Hope for the best." Across the aisle, Ashley sat with Robert Sullivan. She wore a navy blue suit. Pearls. Her gray hair was styled perfectly. She looked like money and power and everything Jennifer had lost. Their eyes met. Jennifer looked away first. Judge Margaret Holland entered. Everyone stood. "Be seated," the judge said. She was maybe 60, with steel gray hair and eyes that looked like they'd seen every excuse in the book. We're here for an emergency hearing regarding custody of the minor child Samuel Hayes, age 10. Additionally, we're addressing preliminary motions in the criminal case against Jennifer Morgan Hayes and John Hayes. She looked at Jennifer over her reading glasses. Ms. Morgan Hayes, you're represented by Mr. Reeves today. Yes, Your Honor. And you understand that anything said here can be used against you in the criminal proceeding. I understand. Very well. Mr. Sullivan, you're representing the petitioner Ashley Morgan. Sullivan stood. That's correct, Your Honor. And what is Ms. Morgan petitioning for? Emergency custody of her grandson Sammy Hayes. Temporary removal of parental rights from Jennifer Morgan Hayes and John Hayes pending the outcome of criminal proceedings. And, he paused, a formal finding that the defendants are unfit parents. Jennifer felt the words like a slap. That's a serious petition, Judge Holland said. It's a serious situation, Your Honor. Sullivan pulled out a tablet. We have video evidence of Ms. Morgan Hayes physically abusing the child to coerce him into making a false statement. We have testimony from hospital staff. We have recordings of the defendants conspiring to commit fraud and elderly abuse. I'd like to hear from Ms. Morgan Hayes first, the judge said. Before we get into evidence, Ms. Morgan Hayes, would you like to testify? Marcus Reeves leaned over. You don't have to. But Jennifer stood up. I'd like to speak, Your Honor. Approach the stand. Jennifer walked to the witness box on shaking legs. She was sworn in. Sat down. Judge Holland looked at her. Tell me what happened. Jennifer took a breath. Where did she even start, I love my mother, she said. Her voice cracked. I've always loved her. But she was never there. Growing up, I mean. She was always working. Building Morgan Logistics. She'd leave before I woke up. Come home after I went to bed. I was raised by nannies. Ashley's face showed no emotion. She just sat there, hands folded. Go on, the judge said. I tried so hard to make her proud. I got straight A's. I went to Harvard Business School like she did. I learned the company inside and out. And 5 years ago, she gave me the CEO position. That sounds like she was proud of you. I thought so too. I thought finally she saw me. She valued me. Jennifer wiped her eyes. But then she moved into the basement. She made herself invisible. And I let her. I was so busy running the company, being successful, proving I could do it, that you forgot to be her daughter. The words hung in the air. Yes, Jennifer whispered. I forgot to be her daughter. I treated her like she was in the way, like she was a burden. And the incident at the restaurant, Jennifer closed her eyes. I was cruel. I humiliated her in front of everyone. She brought my son a $50 bond, a thoughtful gift, something meaningful, and I threw it in the trash and called it garbage. Why? Because I was embarrassed. Because my business associates were there. Because I wanted them to see me as powerful and successful, not as the daughter of an old woman giving cheap gifts. Judge Holland leaned forward. And after your mother cut you off financially, what did you do then? I panicked. We had nothing. No money, no home, nothing. So She stopped, looked at Ashley. I tried to hurt her. I tried to have her declared incompetent so I could take it all back. And your son, the video where you injured him. Jennifer's hands were shaking. I told myself I was desperate, that I needed leverage, that my mother would see Sammy crying and come running, and everything would go back to normal. But you hurt him to get those tears. Yes. The word came out as a sob. Yes, I hurt him. My own son. And I can't take it back. She was crying now. Real tears. The kind that came from somewhere deep and broken inside. Your Honor, my client has shown genuine remorse, Marcus started. But Jennifer cut him off. I don't deserve mercy. I don't deserve my son. My mother is right, I'm unfit. The courtroom went silent. Judge Holland studied her for a long moment. Then she said, Ms. Morgan, would you like to respond? Ashley stood slowly. She didn't look at Jennifer. I walked to the witness stand with my heart hammering in my chest. This was it. The moment I'd been building toward. The moment I'd been dreading. I was sworn in. Sat down. Looked at the judge, not at Jennifer. Ms. Morgan, Judge Holland said. You've heard your daughter's testimony. What would you like to say? Jennifer is right, I said. My voice was steady, calm. Years of boardroom negotiations had taught me how to hide my emotions. I was absent. I worked 70, 80-hour weeks. I missed birthdays and school plays and parent-teacher conferences. I was building an empire, but I was failing as a mother. Jennifer looked up surprised. I thought I was doing the right thing, I continued. I thought providing for her, giving her opportunities, building her a future, I thought that was love. But she needed me there. She needed a mother, not a CEO. So you accept responsibility for the relationship breakdown? Partially, yes. I took a breath. But Jennifer made choices too. She chose cruelty over kindness. She chose money over family. And she chose to hurt my grandson. Tell me about the custody petition. Sammy is the only innocent person in this mess. He deserves better than parents who use him as a pawn. He deserves stability, safety, love. And you think you can provide that? I know I can, because I've learned from my mistakes with Jennifer. I won't make them again. Judge Holland nodded. Mr. Sullivan mentioned additional evidence. Something about the trust structure. This was it. Sullivan stood up. Your Honor, the trust agreement specifies that beneficiaries must be direct biological descendants of Ashley Morgan. We'd like to submit evidence regarding Ms. Jennifer Morgan Hayes' biological status. Jennifer's lawyer shot to his feet. Objection relevance. This is a custody hearing, not a paternity. It's relevant to the fraud charges, Sullivan said smoothly. Ms. Morgan Hayes has been representing herself as Ashley Morgan's biological daughter and legal heir. If that's false... It's not false, Jennifer stood up. She's my mother. She raised me. Judge Holland banged her gavel. Ms. Morgan Hayes, sit down. Mr. Sullivan, what evidence do you have? Sullivan handed her a manila envelope. This is a DNA test conducted 45 years ago. It's been sealed since 1980. Miss Morgan is prepared to explain its contents. The judge opened the envelope, read the document inside. Her eyebrows went up. Ms. Morgan, is this accurate? I felt my throat tighten. Yes, Your Honor. You'd like to present this to the court. I'd like to give it to Jennifer first. The judge handed the document to the bailiff. Give this to the defendant. Jennifer took the paper with shaking hands, started reading. I watched her face, watched the moment she understood. No, she whispered. No, this is a lie. It's not a lie, Jennifer, I said quietly. She looked up at me. Probability of maternity 0%. What does this mean? It means I'm not your biological mother. The courtroom erupted. Jennifer's lawyer was shouting. The gallery was buzzing. Judge Holland was banging her gavel. But all I could see was Jennifer's face. White, shocked, broken. Your Honor, I said, raising my voice to be heard. May I explain? Order, order. The judge got the room under control. Yes, Ms. Morgan, please explain. I looked at Jennifer. Really looked at her. 45 years ago, I began. I was married to Thomas Morgan, your father. We were young. I was 27, building the company, working constantly. Thomas felt neglected. Jennifer was staring at me like I was a stranger. He had an affair with a woman named Caroline Brooks. She was a tennis instructor at our club in the Hamptons. The affair lasted 6 months, and then Caroline got pregnant. No, Jennifer said, but her voice had no force behind it. Thomas confessed to me, begged for forgiveness. Caroline didn't want the baby. She had career ambitions of her own. She was going to terminate the pregnancy or give the baby up for adoption. I felt tears starting, fought them back. Thomas was devastated. He couldn't bear the thought of his child going to strangers. So I made a decision. You're lying, Jennifer said. You're lying to hurt me. I'm telling you the truth. Finally. I pulled out another document. This is Caroline's affidavit. She's willing to testify. She gave birth to you in July 1980. She handed you to me in the hospital, and I took you home and raised you as my own. Jennifer's hands were shaking so hard the papers rustled. No one knew, I continued. We faked a pregnancy. I wore padding. I limited public appearances. When you were born, I was listed as the mother on your birth certificate. And from that moment on, you were mine. Why? Jennifer's voice broke. Why would you do that? Because Thomas was my husband. Because I loved him despite what he'd done. And because I wanted you. I leaned forward. I held you when you were hours old, Jennifer. I changed your diapers. I stayed up with you when you had nightmares. I taught you to ride a bike. You were my daughter, in every way that mattered. Except biology. Biology is just DNA. It's not love. It's not sacrifice. It's not 45 years of being your mother. Jennifer stood up. Then why tell me? Why destroy my life? And then tell me I'm not even your real daughter? Because you need to understand what you lost. My voice hardened. You didn't just lose money, Jennifer. You lost a mother who chose you, who raised you when she didn't have to, who gave you everything she had. You gave me things. I gave you me. Every dollar I earned went to your education, your future, your security. Every hour I worked was for you. Yes, I was absent. Yes, I made mistakes. But I loved you. I chose to love you. And now you're choosing to destroy me. No, I shook my head. You destroyed yourself when you threw that bond in the trash, when you called me garbage, when you hurt Sammy. You made those choices, not me. Sullivan stepped forward. Your Honor, there's a legal implication here. The Morgan Family Trust specifies that beneficiaries must be direct biological descendants. Ms. Morgan Hayes is not a biological descendant. What does that mean? Jennifer asked. It means you have no legal claim to the Morgan estate, Sullivan said. Never did. The money, the house, the company you were borrowing it. And now the loan is due. Jennifer's legs gave out. She collapsed back into her chair. Who am I? She whispered. If I'm not Ashley Morgan's daughter, then who am I? I felt my chest constrict. You're Jennifer Morgan Hayes. You're a woman who made mistakes. You're Sammy's mother. I'm nobody. She looked at me with empty eyes. I'm the daughter of some woman named Caroline who didn't want me. I'm a mistake. An affair baby. Nothing. You're not nothing. Yes, I am, she screamed it. My whole life is a lie. My name is a lie. My family is a lie. Everything is a lie. She stood up, grabbed the DNA test, and ripped it in half. I don't accept this. I can't. She was hyperventilating now, having a panic attack. The bailiff moved toward her, but Judge Holland held up a hand. Miss Morgan Hayes, sit down. Breathe. But Jennifer couldn't breathe. She was gasping, her face red, her eyes wild. Medical emergency, the judge said. Bailiff, call for assistance. Paramedics came, gave Jennifer oxygen, checked her vitals. I sat in the witness box and watched my daughter, not my daughter, fall apart. And I wondered for They had to recess for an hour while Jennifer recovered. I sat in a private room with Patricia and Sullivan. That was brutal, Patricia said quietly. It was the truth. Truth can be brutal. She put her hand on mine. Ashley, are you okay? Was I okay? I'd just destroyed the identity of a woman I'd raised for 45 years. I'd taken away her money, her home, her husband, her child, and her sense of self. No, I said. I'm not okay. Do you want to stop? We can settle. Restore some of the money, work out a custody arrangement. No, I pulled my hand away. She hurt Sammy. That's the line. I won't cross back from that. Sullivan cleared his throat. Ashley, there's something else. John Hayes has formally requested immunity in exchange for his testimony. The DA is inclined to grant it. So he walks free. Yes. And Jennifer faces charges alone. Kidnapping, child endangerment, conspiracy to commit fraud. She's looking at 8 to 10 years. 8 to 10 years? My daughter would be 53 when she got out. I closed my eyes. What have I done? You've protected your grandson, Sullivan said. You've enforced consequences for serious crimes. I've destroyed my family. Patricia squeezed my shoulder. Your family destroyed itself, Ashley. You just stopped pretending everything was fine. The hearing reconvened. Jennifer was back at the defendant's table. Calmer now. Medicated, probably. Judge Holland looked at both sides. I've reviewed the evidence, I've heard testimony, and I'm prepared to rule. The courtroom went silent. First, regarding custody of Samuel Hayes. I'm granting temporary emergency custody to Ashley Morgan. The parents will be allowed supervised visitation only pending completion of court-ordered psychological evaluations. Jennifer didn't react, just sat there staring at nothing. Second, regarding the criminal charges. Mr. Hayes has been offered immunity in exchange for testimony. Ms. Morgan Hayes, do you understand that your husband is cooperating with prosecutors? Yes, Jennifer said. Her voice was flat, dead. And do you wish to enter a plea at this time? Jennifer's lawyer whispered to her. She shook her head. Guilty, she said. I plead guilty to all charges. Her lawyer looked shocked. Ms. Morgan Hayes, I advise against. I'm guilty. I hurt my son. I tried to drug my mother. I'm guilty. Judge Holland studied her. This is a serious decision. Are you certain? I'm certain. I want it to be over. The judge nodded slowly. Very well. Sentencing will be scheduled for 30 days from now. Until then, you're remanded to custody. Bail is revoked. The bailiff stood to take Jennifer away. Jennifer looked at me one last time. Do you hate me? The question caught me off guard. Did I hate her? No, I said. I love you. That's why this hurts so much. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. If I didn't love you, I would have done it years ago. They took her away, back to county jail, back to a cell, and I sat there in the courtroom surrounded by lawyers and judges and the machinery of justice. I'd won, so why did it feel like losing? 30 days later, I sat in the gallery as Jennifer was sentenced. She'd been assigned a better lawyer now, a public defender named Sarah Kim, who actually seemed to care. Your Honor, Sarah said my client has accepted full responsibility for her actions. She's expressed genuine remorse. She's a first-time offender. We respectfully request leniency. The prosecutor stood. The people appreciate the defendant's guilty plea. However, the crimes were serious. Child endangerment, conspiracy, attempted assault on an elderly person. We recommend 8 years. Judge Holland looked at Jennifer. Do you have anything to say? Jennifer stood. She'd lost weight. Her face was gaunt. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. I'm sorry, she said. To my mother, to my son, to everyone I hurt. I have no excuses. I deserve whatever punishment you give me. She sat back down. The judge reviewed her notes. Jennifer Morgan Hayes, you are hereby sentenced to 8 years in the Massachusetts Correctional Institution at Framingham. You'll be eligible for parole in 5 years, contingent on good behavior and completion of court-ordered therapy. 8 years. Jennifer didn't flinch, just nodded. They took her away in handcuffs. John was sentenced the same day, but because he'd cooperated, he got probation. 5 years probation. Mandatory community service. Anger management classes. He walked out of the courthouse a free man. I watched him go. Watched him get into a car with a woman I didn't recognize. Young, pretty, probably his next meal ticket. Some people never learn. Dr. Vincent Russo got 5 years. Lost his medical license permanently. The media had a field day. Disgraced doctor in elderly abuse scheme. Mother versus daughter dynasty destroyed. Diane Carter from the Boston Globe wrote a piece that went viral. The Empress and the Heir, How One Family's Greed Led to Its Downfall. Half the comments blamed Jennifer. Half blamed me. I stopped reading after the first day. I stood on the deck of my house in Cape Cod watching Sammy play in the yard. He'd adjusted better than I expected. Therapy helped. So did routine. So did knowing he was safe. Grandma Ashley, he called. Look, I caught a crab. I walked down to where he was crouched by the tide pool. Sure enough, a small green crab scuttled around in his bucket. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Now let him go back home okay. His family's probably worried. Sammy carefully tipped the bucket. The crab scurried back into the water. Do you think Mama misses me? He asked. The question always came when I least expected it. I know she does. We're visiting her next week, remember? Will she be different? Maybe. Prison changes people. Is she learning her lesson? I sat down on the sand beside him. I hope so, but people only change if they want to, Sammy. We can't force them. He was quiet for a moment, building a sandcastle. Then, do you miss her? Did I miss Jennifer? Every day, I said honestly. Even though she was mean to you. Even though, because I loved her first before she was mean. I loved her when she was little like you. When she had big dreams and a kind heart. What happened to her? Life got complicated, and she made bad choices. I helped him build a tower. But you know what? She's still my daughter, and I still hope she finds her way back to being the person I raised. The person you chose, Sammy said. I looked at him surprised. What, you chose to love her? Even though she wasn't your real baby, that's what you told the judge. You heard that? The social worker lady told me. She said you're the bravest person she knows. I felt tears prickling my eyes. I don't feel brave. But you are, because you stopped Mama from hurting people, even though it made you sad. Out of the mouths of babes. Come on, I said, standing up. Let's go get lunch. What do you want? Grilled cheese. Grilled cheese it is. We walked back to the house hand in hand. That night after Sammy was asleep, I sat at my desk and pulled out a letter that had arrived that morning. From Jennifer. I'd been staring at it all day, afraid to open it. Finally, I slit the envelope. Dear Mom, I don't know if I should still call you that. Mom, Mother, Ashley. I don't know what I'm supposed to call the woman who raised me but isn't related to me. I'm angry. I won't lie. I'm so angry I can barely breathe sometimes. Angry at you for not telling me. Angry at Dad for the affair. Angry at myself for being so stupid. But mostly I'm angry that I wasted so many years. Years I could have spent being your daughter, your real daughter, the one you chose instead of chasing money and status and things that don't matter. My therapist here, yes, I'm in therapy, court-ordered but actually helpful, says I was trying to earn your love. That I thought if I was successful enough, powerful enough, rich enough, you'd finally see me, finally choose me. But you already had chosen me, 45 years ago, and I was too blind to see it. I don't know if you'll forgive me. I don't know if Sammy will. I don't even know if I'll forgive myself. But I'm trying. I'm trying to be better, to understand why I did what I did, to become someone worthy of the second chance you gave me when I was born. I know I'm in here for 8 years. That's a long time. Sammy will be 18 when I get out. Almost grown. Will you tell him I love him? Will you make sure he knows that even though I hurt him, even though I failed him, I love him? And will you tell him about his biological grandmother, Caroline? He should know where he comes from. All of it. Not just the pretty parts. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. For everything. Jennifer P.S. They let me have the $50 bond here. I keep it in my cell. It's worth $73.82 now. You were right. Patience pays off. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. Tomorrow I'd write back. I'd tell her about Sammy, about the house, about the life we were building. But tonight I just sat there and cried. For the daughter I'd lost. For the daughter I'd found. For all the years we'd wasted being strangers under the same roof. Patricia had asked me if it was worth it. The answer was still no, but it was necessary. And sometimes necessary things hurt the most. Sammy's 11th birthday. We celebrated at the Cape Cod house. Small party. His new friends from school. Cake and ice cream and laughter. I watched him blow out the candles and make a wish. Afterward, when the guests had gone home, he sat beside me on the porch swing. What did you wish for? I asked. Can't tell. It won't come true. Fair enough. We rocked in comfortable silence. The ocean whispered against the shore. Grandma, Sammy said, I got a letter from Mama today. Oh. She said she's proud of me, that she loves me, that she's sorry she won't be at my birthday. She is sorry, sweetheart. I know. He leaned against me. I wrote her back. I told her about school, about my new friends, about the science fair project we're working on. That's good. She'll like hearing about your life. Do you think she'll come back when she gets out of prison? It was the question I'd been dreading. I don't know, I said honestly. She might, or she might want to start fresh somewhere else, build a new life. Would that be okay if she didn't come back? I thought about it. It would be sad, but yes, it would be okay, because we can't force people to be who we want them to be. We can only love them and hope they find their way. Sammy nodded. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. This is for you. For my birthday. I opened it. Inside was a $50 treasury bond. Sammy, I bought it with my allowance. Well, most of my allowance. You helped me set up the account, remember? I did remember. We'd gone to the bank together, opened a savings account, started teaching him about compound interest and delayed gratification. I thought maybe we could start a new tradition, he said. Every birthday we buy a bond. And when I'm old like you, hey now, when I'm grown up, I'll have a whole collection, and I'll give them to my kids, and they'll give them to their kids, and everyone will remember that good things take time. I hugged him. held him close. That's a beautiful tradition, Sammy. Do you think Mama would like it? I think your Mama would love it. We sat together as the sun set over the Atlantic. The sky turned pink and gold and purple. The stars started appearing one by one. My phone buzzed. A text from the prison. Visitation request approved for next Saturday. 2 p.m. Jennifer Morgan Hayes, inmate number 48291, I showed Sammy. Want to go see your mom next weekend? He thought about it, then nodded. Yeah, I have a lot to tell her. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. I built an empire to give my daughter everything, but I forgot to give her me. I won the war. I got justice. I protected my grandson, but I lost my daughter in the process. Was it worth it? Ask me again when Jennifer gets out, when she's had time to heal, when we've had time to rebuild what we broke. Ask me again when Sammy's grown, when he's a man who values character over cash, when he's someone who knows that the best things in life can't be bought. Then maybe I'll have an answer. For now, I have a grandson who loves me, a house by the ocean, and a $50 bond that reminds me every day patience pays off. Some things are worth the wait, even if it takes a lifetime.